I've had my Switch 2 for about 6 months now, so today I want to sit down and talk about the positives and the negatives of the Nintendo Switch 2, and answer the question, is it worth the upgrade? Before I get started, if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos just like this one. The way this video is going to look is that first, I'm going to be talking about the positives of the Switch 2, and I did my best to kind of gather some intel from some of my friends and stuff. And then I'll be getting into the negatives of the Switch 2 and kind of the same thing. I gathered some info there as well. And then finally, I'll talk about upgrading, whether it's worth it for you to upgrade from your first Switch, if you are looking to buy your first Switch, if you should go with a Switch 1 or Switch 2. I'll cover all of that stuff at the end of the video. And so with that stuff out of the way, let's kick things off with the positives. And the first one is that I feel like this is a very premium Switch. In a lot of ways, it just feels kind of like a Switch for adults. It's a little bit larger. It's better for your adult size hands. The kickstand in the back isn't just going to fly off like the original Switch. I was a little bit iffy at first about it using magnets to attach the Joy-Con on the side, but I actually prefer that over what you had to do with the original Switch where you slide it in there. I think both when it's docked and when it's on tabletop mode, it makes removing those and putting them back on like way easier. All around, I would say that that there's nothing about the Switch 2 to me that feels worse than the original Switch. And that was a similar sentiment as I was kind of looking around online. One guy from the Discord said that he felt like the Switch 2 has a really strong launch window of games and then good third party support right out the gates. Let's see. Another guy on Discord said there's pretty solid lineup of releases and roadmap into 2026. One person said that they think it has a much better launch than the original Switch. My buddy Chris over at PS Rewind just straight up said it's worth the upgrade. And then another guy from the Discord said that they kind of felt the same to me, that it just feels like that it feels like a Switch Pro, and that's what they've mostly been using it for. Zane said, first party has been solid, but we've yet to see a third party blowout that I think everyone expected. So far, it's pretty much just been Ubisoft of the AAA publishers who have released anything. And then Dustin85 said, first party has been great, same with indie, but I think they need more AAA day and date to reach a broader audience. And then he also said that he really likes the hardware and the Pro Controller and thinks that the seamless hybrid, being able to just seamlessly go from the Switch to the TV, is great as well. And I would agree with pretty much everything that all these people said. And now I'm going to get into the negatives a little bit. And I actually didn't really come up with very many negatives on my own, so I am glad that I did a little bit of research and asked around a little bit. For myself, the ones that I came up with was that I don't like that the Switch 1 Pro Controller can't wake up the Switch 2. It seems unnecessary. It seems like that they're just trying to force you to buy that newer and more expensive controller. And I also kind of feel like there aren't a whole lot of games that are out for me right now to really get excited about. The Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild is probably what I've played the most of. Kirby Air Riders doesn't really look forward to me. Donkey Kong Bonanza was good, but I didn't really love it like I wanted to. Pokemon Legends ZA is also available on Switch 1. Metroid Prime 4 is also available on Switch 1. So if you already have a Switch 1, what I would consider the best games are not really locked off to you. Once again, my buddy Chris over at PS Rewind mentioned that the GameCube NSO Nintendo Switch Online editions are super slow. There have been 3 additions in 6 months, meaning there's only 6 games in the whole service, and I feel like that was part of how they really marketed this console, was saying that you would get to play your favorite GameCube games. And personally, I think there's only one GameCube game in Nintendo Switch Online that's even worth playing, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I'm going to let you figure it out. There were some other negative comments that I did find from across the web as well. John Tingley said that the battery life was bad. Once again, Chris, my buddy at PS Rewind, said that he wants there to be more Joy-Con colors, because right now the only colors that are available are the ones that come with the console. Mega Chimp in the Discord said, brought something up about dev kits, how it seems like some indie devs and even some like major AAA developers are having trouble getting dev kits, and that might be why there aren't a ton of Switch 2 editions of some of these other games. And then MegaChimp also mentioned the game keycards thing, which I don't really want to go into that here, but that is a negative for some people. And that's basically that on some games, when you buy a physical copy of the game is not available on the cart. You still have to download it from the internet, which for a lot of people defeats the purpose of having a physical card. And then finally, Dustin85 mentioned that he wants there to be a D-pad on the... he wants there to be an option of a Joy-Con with a D-pad on it, which I think is fair. And so that brings us to the part of the video where I answer the question, is it worth the upgrade? For me personally, as somebody who loves Nintendo, I think it was absolutely worth the upgrade. Let's keep in mind, I would be considered a Switch power user, so I'm playing this thing every single day. I have a lot of Switch 1 games that I haven't gotten to yet that I want to play on Switch 2, and they're going to run better than ever before. I like to play all of the Nintendo first-party releases right away. Like, I'm glad that I was able to play Donkey Kong Bonanza right away, and that wouldn't have been an option if I hadn't upgraded to the Switch 2. If you're a more casual user who already has a Switch, I would look at some of the games that are only available on Switch 2, like Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kirby Air Riders, and see if those appeal to you. Because honestly, if you already have a Switch and you are happy with your Switch and you're not feeling like you're missing out by not being able to play those really 2 games that are important, I would probably not upgrade just yet. If you do not own any Switch and are looking to get a Switch for the first time, and you don't really know if you should get maybe like a discounted Switch or a full price like Switch 2, I would say if it's your very first Switch, and to probably go ahead and get a Switch 2. Everybody's financial situation is going to be a little bit different, so if the difference between getting a used Switch and a Switch 2 is like going to be huge for you, I would maybe consider just getting a used Switch. But the original Switch is kind of at the point of its life where a lot of games are not going to be coming out on there anymore, just because the more powerful hardware is available in the Switch 2, and the Switch 2 has been pretty popular right off the bat. If you're on the fence and money is not a huge issue for you, I would recommend getting the Switch 2, mostly just because Nintendo has supported the first Switch for almost 8 years now, and so it's reasonable to think that if you get a Switch 2 right now, that Nintendo will probably continue to support it for another 7 years or so. That's all that I have for today. In the comment section, please let me know what you think of the Switch 2. Are you happy with the upgrade? And what are you looking forward to playing this weekend? Until next time, the best way to keep up with me is right here on YouTube. Thanks, guys.